All right, guys. We're going to talk about the verb gustar today. It's a really important verb for us. It doesn't follow normal patterns, so there's a couple different things that we have to learn about this verb. So, first and foremost, remember that gustar is not like regular verbs. We can't conjugate it like we would any of our normal verbs. So that means that we can't take off the AR and just plug in whatever endings we think we need. We do have to go about it a different way. We also have to use clarifiers as well as indirect object pronouns, which we'll get into a little bit more in a minute. And then in order to use it, we have to identify two different things in order to be able to use it properly. We have to identify what's being liked and who is doing the liking. A couple other important points for us is that although we know that gustar means to like, it actually means to be pleasing to, which is the reason why we need to use those indirect object pronouns, and also why we have to use clarifiers. It's not going to conjugate like a normal verb because in essence, if I wanted to say, I like chocolate, the way that it gets formulated in Spanish is that chocolate is pleasing to me. We know that's not a normal structure in English. We know that that's not the way that we would formulate our thoughts in English. So when we translate the chocolate is pleasing to me into English, it really just becomes I like chocolate, right? If it's pleasing to me, I definitely like it. Another important thing about gustar is that there are other verbs like gustar. You're going to get into a ton of them in Spanish too. This is also a really important verb at the beginning of Spanish too for a review. So it's just really important that you understand how this verb works, how to use it, because it sets the groundwork for those future verbs, but also because it sets the groundwork for the beginning of your next level of Spanish. So step one is going to be your clarification, okay? Clarifiers are going to go at the very beginning of the sentence, and there are really only two special ones that you have to worry about. The rest of them, it'll be pretty straightforward for you, okay? So if I went back to my chocolate is pleasing to me example, then the person who's doing the liking, so to speak, or who's enjoying whatever it is myself. So I would have to start my sentence with a mí. Anytime you're talking about yourself liking something, you're going to have to start it a mí and then finish the rest of your sentence. Also, super duper important, the me here has an accent on the I. If you do not put that accent, you're saying my, which is a completely different thing. We don't need that. You must have the accent here, okay? The other special one that you need to worry about is a ti, which is going to be used for tú, okay? So a mí and a ti, those should be pretty easy for you, especially like thinking about the way that things relate to each other in relationships, right? So a mí is used for yo, a ti is for tú. Anytime you're wanting to talk about any other person, any other subject pronoun, that sort of thing, you're going to simply just say a and then the name or names, a subject pronoun. So the examples on the slide we have a usted, so if we're wanting to say you formal, right? A usted. If we're talking about Martha, we would say a Marta and then go on with our sentence. If I'm talking about y'all, I would start with a vosotros. I could also say a ella, a ello, a ella, a él, a ellas, a ellos, a nosotros, right? There are a bunch of different ways. One really important thing that is not on this slide is if I'm talking about Martha and I liking something, and I want to say, Martha and I, we like blah, 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 okay? I would have to say a Marta y a mí. I can't say y yo. It has to be a Marta y a mí. So that's where I have to use the clarifier for Marta, and then I also have to use the clarifier for myself. Your next step is going to be your IOP, or your indirect object pronoun, right? These are a new set of pronouns. They're going to take the place of our traditional subject pronouns. So I'm not going to use yo anywhere with gustar. I'm not going to use tú anywhere with gustar. okay? So if I'm saying a mí, the very next thing in my sentence would be me. So we have me, te, le, nos, os, les. Okay, so a mí me, a ti te, a Marta le, a Marta y a mí nos, a vosotros os, y a ustedes les. Okay, just to give you those examples of structure. You'll also notice that some of these slides are color-coded at the top. It'll help you when we move into examples for the whole thing. Step 3 is gustar, okay? There are only going to be 2 forms of gustar that we can use. We can only use gusta and gustan, okay? Gusta is going to be used if we're talking about liking a singular thing, a singular noun, or when talking about liking verbs. So if I were to say, I like to run, a mí me gusta correr, okay? If I like to say, or I wanted to say, I like to run and dance, a mí me gusta correr y bailar, okay? If I'm talking about a singular thing, gusta. Any number of verbs, gusta. If I'm talking about plural nouns or multiple singular nouns, it'll be gustan, right? The same way that 1, which is singular, plus 1, also singular, equals 2, right? Something more than 1. A singular noun plus a singular noun creates plurality, so you have to use that gustan, okay? And then, once again, this is going to come after your IOP. Nothing's ever, ever, ever going to come between the IOP in the form of gustar. Another really important note for you is that when you're using gustar with the singular noun, you must use the definite article, okay? And then you also do not conjugate those verbs. This is going to be the super easy step because this is just where you plug in vocab, okay? Once again, if you're using the noun, you need to use the correct definite article. So if it's singular masculine, you'll use el. If it's singular feminine, you'll use la. Or you could end up using los or las. And then if it's a verb that you're liking, make sure the verb is not conjugated, right? So it still has its AR, it still has its ER, it still has its IR. No conjugating is necessary. And that'll all go directly after gustar. Okay. So now I want you to try a couple of these on your notes that you're jotting down. Okay, your first sentence is that Elizabeth likes to go to the cafe. Number 2 is I like sports. Number 3, y'all don't like chocolate cake. Number 4, my friends and I like hamburgers and french fries. Feel free to pause while you work through these using those steps that we just went over. However, I am going to go on to the next slide, so once again, pause if you need to. Las respuestas, the answers that we have. So for our first sentence, Elizabeth is the clarifier for us. Le is going to be our indirect object pronoun. Gusta, because we're talking about only liking one thing or a verb. And then ir al café. So a Elizabeth le gusta ir al café. For our second one, a mí me gustan los deportes. The thing that I'm liking is sports. It's plural, so I have to use gustan. And then my clarifier is a mí. My indirect object pronoun is me. Number 3, this one I kind of gave you as a curveball because we didn't talk about disliking things. But the way that that will get formulated is you're going to have your clarifier, so a vosotros, and then you're going to put in your negative. So no, then everything else will stay the same, okay? So a vosotros no os gusta, and it should say gusta, perdón, el pastel de chocolate. A vosotros no os gusta, make sure you do not put that in, el pastel de chocolate. Y número 4, a mis amigos y a mí nos gustan las hamburguesas y patatas fritas. So this is that example of I'm trying to say my friends and I, we all like something, right? So I have to say the a mis amigos y a mí has to have both clarifiers. Then I go on with the rest of my normal process. Here, we're going to see if you can plug in the correct missing pieces for each of these. So some of them are missing clarifiers, some of them are missing indirect objects, some are missing the indirect objects and the verb. So go ahead, see if you can figure these out. For number 1, we have a mí, blank, blank, los chocolates. Number 2, we've got some stuff, and then nos gustan las revistas. Once again, this one starts off blank. Te gusta comer comida y tomar refrescos. And then number 4, a vosotros, blank, los mariscos. Okay. Once again, pause if you need to, but I'm going on to the answer slide. Las respuestas. Número 1, a mí me gustan los chocolates. Has to be me because our clarifier is a mí. Those two have to agree. Gustan because we're talking about chocolates, which is plural. Number 2, a nosotros nos gustan las revistas. Had to be nosotros because right after that we have nos, which clarifies or tells us who our clarifier should be, right? It's telling that we are doing the liking. Same kind of thing for number 3, where we have a ti te gusta comer comida y tomar refrescos. And then the last one, a vosotros os gustan los mariscos. Preguntas, questions, feel free to reach out if you need any extra help, extra clarification on anything. I'm more than happy to help you guys.